Hi friends, welcome to the video for number 7 through number 14. The first thing you're going to notice, and I meant to say this on the first page and I didn't, I started by highlighting my bases because that helps me to name them. And then I always put the H for the height of the shape in a capital pink letter. That just helps me. I'm a very visual learner. Because for some of these shapes we need height and for some of these shapes we need slant height. And so it just helps me to go ahead and start with the H on there. So before I even did any of these problems, I went ahead and highlighted the bases in blue and the heights in pink. So you will see that on here. So those did not start on here. Obviously, they're not on y'all sheets of paper. So I just wanted to mention that. That's something that I do to help myself. So it might be something you want to do too. And so when I go to name this first shape, number 7, I know that this is either a pyramid or a cone because it only has one base. And so since it's not a circular base, it has to be a pyramid. So what kind of pyramid is it? Well, since it's a 4x4, that is going to be a square pyramid. And so, of course, we'd go get our formula for a pyramid. And so you'd scroll back up to the top. Now you will have this written at the top. The pyramid is PL divided by 2 plus B. So I'm going to start with that. It kind of works like a checklist. It's going to be P times L divided by 2 plus the base. So what does P stand for? Well, it's all about the base. So P stands for perimeter of the base. So that's going to be 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. I'm going to write that over here just for the purposes of the key. That perimeter is going to give me 16. And then I need my slanted height. When I'm finding surface area, I need the height of the walls, which is this slanted height right here. Well, right now I don't have that, so I'm going to have to find it. And so I'm going to connect the pink height to the slanted height. That goes halfway across that square, so half of 4 is going to give me 2 millimeters here. And I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to say, well, h squared plus 2 squared should be equal to, I can fill in h, I'm sorry, guys. We're not looking for h, we have h. So that's going to be 3 squared plus 2 squared. Y'all, I'm going to take off my bracelets. I'm sorry to keep hitting the screen. 3 squared plus 2 squared is equal to L squared. And so when we do that, 3 squared plus 2 squared is going to give me 13. So if L squared is 13, then L is going to be equal to the square root of 13 because I take the square root of both sides. Okay, so now I have my slanted height. It's going to be root 13. Okay. Make sure, okay. And if you rounded that, I think it'd be about 3.6, but I have my students leave it until the very, very end, and then we round at the end to keep it more exact. And then I'm going to add my base. Well, what is my base? My base is a square. It is a 4x4 square, so that gives me an area of 16. And so I'm just going to type this in. 16 times root 13 divided by 2 plus 16. Enter. And that's going to give me a surface area. Of course, we are in millimeters, so it's going to be millimeters squared. It's a horrible M. Millimeters squared and then millimeters cubed. And so I've got 44.8 if you round at the very, very end. If you are in a different class and y'all rounded before, that'd give you still 44.8. So because these numbers are small, it's smaller, it doesn't have as big of an impact with rounding. So of course my volume is going to be base times height divided by 3. That's why we find surface area first, because we've already found the base. What was my base? My base was 16. What was my height? My height is 3. Not my slanted height, but my inside height. The height of the pyramid, and that's 16 times 3 divided by 3. So we know that those 3's are just going to ultimately cancel out. You could type it in if you want to. That is going to give me 16 millimeters cubed of volume in the shape and 44.8 millimeters squared of surface area. A lot of times I'll have people get uncomfortable when they see this because they're like, but Ms. Hall, my surface area is a bigger number than my volume. Is that okay? And absolutely it is. You can see that as far as the shape goes, this does not have a ton of space on the inside. So the walls have more space on it than we have millimeters squared and then we have millimeters cubed. So those are, one is a surface area, one is a volume. But you've seen this before. You've seen these boxes that are like tall and skinny. And so they have like a lot of cardboard on them, but a lot of very little space in it. But you've also seen the bigger boxes that have a ton of volume and a ton of surface area. So it is totally fine. We're comparing millimeters squared to millimeters cubed. It is totally fine if your volume is a bigger number than your surface area, or if it's a smaller number than the surface area, like on this problem. Totally fine. All right, so now let's look at this shape. This is another pyramid. It comes to a point, and it's not a cone because it doesn't have a circular base, so it's got to be a pyramid. It does tell us, it makes a note since it doesn't have markings, that it's a square base, so that's going to give me a square pyramid. So we're going to go ahead and write surface area equals, that is going to be our perimeter times our slant height divided by 2 plus our base. So what is our perimeter? Our perimeter goes all the way around the outside, and since it's a square, that's going to be 5 times 4, or 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, 4 times. That's going to give me a perimeter of 20. So there's my perimeter, it's 20. What is my slanted height? Well, thankfully, this problem already has it in the picture for me. It's 14.2. We're going to divide that by 2 because those are triangular walls. And then it's going to be the area of the base. So what is my area of the base? What is a 5 by 5 square going to give me an area of? 5 times 5 is 25. So when I find my surface area, that's going to be 20 times 14.2, enter, divided by 2, enter, plus 25, gives me a a surface area of 167 meters squared, since it's surface area. Volume is going to be in meters cubed. So let's find our volume. Volume is going to be equal to base times height divided by 3. We've already calculated our base. Our base was 25, so let's fill that in. What was our height? Well, we actually don't have our height of the pyramid yet. We need to find it. And so I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. It's going to be h squared plus, I need to complete this triangle. That's going to give me 2.5 right there. So h squared plus 2.5. Why is it 2.5? Because it's halfway across the square, equals my slanted height squared, which is 14.2 squared. So when we type this in, that's going to be 14.2 squared minus 2.5 squared. And that is going to give me a height of h squared of 195.39. And so h is going to be equal to square root of 195.39. Again, I have my students not rounded immediately. We just round at the very, very end. So that's going to be times 195.39. Your calculator's not afraid of that number, so we're going to let it do its thing. And we're going to divide that by 3. So I'm going to do the square root of that. Square root of 195.39. If you rounded it, it's about 13.9, but round up to about 14. And then times 25, and then divided by 3. So for me, that is going to give me a volume of about 116.5. If you rounded your height, it would be 116.7. But we don't round until the very, very, very end. All right, what is this next shape? Well, this next shape is going to be a square pyramid. It comes to a point. It's got a base that's a square, so it's all about the base when you name it. And so surface area is going to be equal to perimeter times slant height divided by 2 plus the base. So I'm going to go through this one rather quickly since we've done several of these. Perimeter is going to be 8 times 4. So my perimeter is going to be 32. 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. What is my slanted height? It's there. It's 7. So it's going to be 32 times 7 divided by 2, since those are triangular walls. It's part of the formula. And then my area of my base. What is my area of the base? It's a square, so it's an 8 by 8, which is 64. So 32 times 7 divided by 2 plus 64. That is going to give me a surface area. I'm in centimeters, so it's going to give me a surface area of 176 centimeters squared, where volume is going to be centimeters cubed. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that down. So what's my volume? My volume is base times height divided by 3. We've already found our base, thankfully. It was 64. What is my height of the pyramid? Well, we don't have it yet, so we're going to find it. And so I'm going to go halfway across. This is going to be 4. And so now we want to find h. So that's going to be h squared plus 4 squared equals my slant height squared, which was the 7. It's the right triangle, Pythagorean theorem. So 7 squared minus 4 squared gives me 33. And so if h squared equals 33, h is going to be equal to the square root of 33. So again, I'm not going to round that. I'm just going to multiply it by root 33, and then I'm going to divide by 3. So I'm going to do that on my calculator. So I'm going to do the square root of 33, which is about 5.7 times 64, enter, divided by 3. And when you round at the very, very end, that's going to give you 122.6 centimeters cubed. If you rounded it beforehand, that would give you 121.6 centimeters cubed. All right, what is this next shape? Well, it looks like a ball, and so this is going to be a sphere. What is our formula for the surface area of a sphere? Our formula for the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. Of course, my units are going to be feet squared for surface area and then feet cubed for volume. We know that this should be left in terms of pi simply because it has a pi in the formula, and it says that in our directions. So if my diameter that it's pointing to is 6, that means that my radius is going to be 3 feet. I'm going to cross out that 6 when I'm done with it so I don't accidentally plug that in. So that's going to be 4 times pi times 3 squared. You're going to type in into your calculator everything except the pi symbol to leave it in terms of pi. So 4 times 3 squared gives me 36. So my answer for my surface area is going to be 36 pi feet squared. Now we want to find our volume. Our volume formula is 4 pi r cubed over 3. I have my radius, so that's going to be 4 pi 3 to the third power over 3. So remember when you type that in, it's that little arrow up button. 4 times 3 cubed, so 4 times 3 raised to the third power is going to give me 108, and then I divide that by 3. That is going to give me 36 pi feet cubed. So this is cool. The surface area actually matches the volume on this problem. One is in feet squared because it's surface area. One is in feet cubed because it's volume. So what is my next shape? Well, it does come to a point, but it's got a circular base this time. So this is going to be called a cone. So what is my surface area formula for a cone? It is going to be pi RL plus pi r squared because you only have one base. So you need your radius and you need your height. So we do have a radius here. Our radius is going to be 4. It's only drawn halfway across. And then we need our slant height, which we have. Our L is our slant height. So I do have that in this picture. And so that is going to be pi times 4 times my slanted height is 10. And then I'm going to add pi r squared. And so that radius, again, is 4. And so then we're just going to do some multiplication. So we're going to do 4 times 10 gives me 40 pi. And then I'm going to do 4 squared gives me 16 pi. What is 40 pi plus 16 pi? That is going to give me 56 pi. And of course, my units are going to be in inches squared for surface area and then in inches cubed for volume. So what is my formula for the volume of a cone? Base times height divided by 3. So we've already found our base. It was pi r squared, so that's going to be equal to pi 4 squared times my height. Well, I do not have the height of this cone yet. I need to find it. So I'm going to do h squared plus 4 squared equals 10 squared. And so I'm going to do 10 squared in my calculator minus 4 squared. That is going to give me h squared equals 84. So h is going to be equal to the square root of 84. And so I'm going to leave it like that, square root of 84. And so that's going to be times root 84. I'm going to click enter, and then I'm going to divide by 3. So I'm going to type in everything in the numerator that's not the pi. 4 squared times square root 84. Click enter, divide by 3, and that's how many pi's I'm going to have. So if I wrote this as a decimal, it would be about 48.9 pi. Yes, if I did that as a decimal, it would be about 48.9 pi inches cubed. So let me see if I can clean that up just a little bit. There we go. 48.9 pi inches cubed of volume. Well, what is our next shape? Well, we've got another circular base, but this time I have 2 of them. So again, this is going to be a cylinder. So to find your surface area, it's going to be circumference times height. So that's going to be 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared. Again, you don't have to memorize this. You'll be given that formula, so you just have to go look at it. We've got our radius. Our radius is 5. There's my radius. And then there's my height. And so I'm just going to plug this in. So it's going to be surface area equals 2 pi. That is a horrible 2. 2 pi. Radius is 5 times my height, which is 7, plus 2 pi r squared. So it's going to be, I'm going to plug in my 5 there. So when I type this into my calculator, that's going to be 2 times 5 times 7. 2 times 5 times 7 gives me 70 pi, because again, we're leaving this in terms of pi. 70 pi for my walls, plus my bases is going to be 2 times 5 squared. 2 times 5 squared gives me 50 pi. So then it's going to be 70 pi plus 50 pi 70 plus 50 is going to be equal to 120 pi. And my units for surface area are going to be inches squared in this problem. All right, this makes my volume way faster. Base times height. And we've already found the base. B is pi r squared because it's a circle. So pi times the radius squared times my height. So that's going to be equal to pi times 5 squared times my height, which is 7. So 5 squared times 7 gives me 175 pi. 175 pi inches cubed. I feel like that was similar to a problem we had on the front page. The same thing? No, okay, so there was another cylinder on the front page, but it was not the exact same thing. Okay, on this cylinder, we were given the radius. All right, let's go to our next sphere. And so surface area of a sphere, you go get your formula from the formula page. It is 4 pi r squared. So we just need our radius, which we have. It's going to be 4 times pi times my radius, which is 9 squared. So again, when you go to type that in your calculator, to leave it in terms of pi, you do 4 times 9 squared. 4 times 9 squared gives me 324 pi inches squared. That's for surface area. Volume, of course, is going to be inches cubed. Okay, so when we go to find my volume, 4 pi r cubed over 3, we literally just plug in our radius. 4 pi 9 cubed over 3. So you type in 4 times 9 cubed, 9 raised to the 3rd power. That's 2916. I divide by 2916. I'm going to take that and I'm going to divide by, oh my goodness gracious, 2916. I'm going to divide by 3. And so that's going to give me a 972 pi inches cubed for that sphere, for the volume. So what is my next shape? My next shape is going to be a square prism. So I'm going to go get my formula for surface area. I know that my surface area is going to be in inches squared. My volume is going to be in inches cubed. You can do that from the very beginning of the test if you want to. So perimeter times height plus 2 bases. What is the perimeter of this shape, of this square? 2 times 4 is going to give me a perimeter of 8, or 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Height between the bases, that is going to give me 7. It's going to be 8 times 7 plus 2 of those bases. Well, what shape is the base? It's a rectangle, or it's a square. A 2 by 2 square gives me an area of 4, so it's going to be just times 4. So I don't care if you use parentheses or stars. 8 times 7 is 56, plus 2 times 4 is 8, and so that is going to give me a total surface area of 64. So it's going to be 64 inches squared, whereas for volume, it's just going to be base times height. Thankfully, I've already calculated both of these things in the surface area formula, so that's going to be 4 times the height of 7. So 4 times 7 is going to give me a volume. 7 times 4 is going to give me 28 inches cubed of volume. So that is page 2, and I will make a new video for the next part.